In 2023, the Equality and Human Rights Commission published findings showing that 52% of women in the UK have experienced some form of sexual harassment at work, more than half, and yet Employment Tribunal data from the same period shows that sexual harassment claims represent less than 2% of all tribunal cases filed. That gap between how often it happens and how rarely it is challenged formally is not a mystery, it is a calculation that most women make in silence alone, usually the same night it happens. I made that calculation. I sat with it for 6 weeks. And then my employer made the calculation for me by handing me a dismissal letter, and everything changed. I worked in financial services for 11 years. I was good at my job in the way that women in that industry learn to be good at their jobs, which is to say I was excellent, and I made sure nobody noticed how hard that excellence required me to work. And then my company appointed a new head of division. I will call him M. The behaviour was not dramatic. That is the thing I want people to understand before I describe it. It was not dramatic, and it was not obvious, and it was precisely calibrated to be deniable at every individual moment. Comments about my appearance delivered as compliments. A habit of scheduling one-to-one meetings at the end of the day when the floor was empty. Messages sent on his personal phone that started professionally and became personal in a way that moved so gradually, I did not fully register what was happening until I looked back at the thread. And then one evening, after a client dinner in the car park of the restaurant, he said something to me that was none of those things. It was explicit, and it was an instruction, and I said no. I said no clearly. I walked to my car. I drove home. I sat in my kitchen until 2 a.m. I decided to report it. I submitted a formal complaint to HR. I was told it would be handled confidentially. I was told M would not be informed of the specifics. M was informed. I know this because his behaviour changed within 48 hours of my submission. In a meeting 3 days after I submitted my complaint, he referred to a project I was leading in the past tense in front of the full senior team. I noted that, down when I got back to my desk. Date, time, exact words, who was present. I had started keeping a log the night I submitted the complaint. 5 weeks after my complaint was submitted, I had not received a single update from HR. 3 days after I sent a formal request for a progress report, I was called into a meeting. I was informed that following a review of my recent performance, a decision had been taken to terminate my employment. I asked one question. I asked whether the performance review that led to this decision had taken place before or after my formal HR complaint was submitted. There was a pause that lasted long enough to tell me everything. I was handed the dismissal letter. I transferred every email and document I was legally entitled to retain onto personal storage. I handed back my pass. I left the building. That evening, I called an employment solicitor. I filed on 4 grounds. The hearing was listed for 16 months after the date of my dismissal. I attended every preparation meeting. I read every document in my bundle, and I went back through the personal message thread from M on my phone. There were 44 messages. I had kept them all. The hearing lasted 4 days, and the M was composed, credible and precise. He said the messages on his personal phone were professional in nature, and that any personal tone was a reflection of the collegial culture of the team. On the 3rd day, my solicitor asked M to confirm whether in a message sent on the 14th of October, he had described a specific piece of work I had completed as outstanding and personally impressive. M said he would need to see the message. My solicitor placed it on the evidence table. It said outstanding and personally impressive. It also said something else, something that was neither professional nor collegial nor ambiguous in any reading, sent from his personal phone, 11 days before I submitted my HR complaint. M said the message had been taken out of context. The judge asked what context he had in mind. M did not have an answer that he finished out loud. The tribunal found in my favour on all 4 grounds: aggravated damages, upper end of the Vento scale. He sent those messages from his personal phone because he thought personal phones were private. He was wrong about that in exactly the way that men who send those messages are always wrong. They were read aloud, every word of them. Document everything, keep everything, know your rights, and make the call.